Well, first of all, I wanted to welcome you all to the American College of Healthcare Sciences. I'm Erica Yigzau. I'm the Chief Institutional Officer, and I know some of you here. I think, is this the first time here for some of you? Great, we've got some newbies, that's always nice, and we are expecting some more people to come in, so we'll just try and let people filter their way in and not get too disrupted. Okay. I'm super excited to introduce Caran Goodall today. I met Caran at the Yard, Garden and Patio show a month ago or so, and was just super impressed by her depth of knowledge and her passion about safety in the home. And as some of you, I know Patsy and I have talked about this before, toxins in the home are a big pet peeve of mine, and you know, we've been dealing with some things this year that have had me researching and realizing even further how toxic a lot of the stuff we use is, which is really scary. So I was super excited to meet Caran and discover this wealth of knowledge that Metro keeps hidden under a bushel somewhere. Right. So I invited her here to come and give a talk to you guys and teach us some great techniques that we can use for keeping ourselves safe and our kids safe and our pets safe while we are keeping our house nice and clean. We kind of have this, I kind of have this joke because I do a lot of stuff. I do a lot of volunteer work and I work full time and do a lot of work at the school and have a farm as well, and so people ask me how I do it all, and my standard joke is I don't clean my house, but the reality is everybody has to clean their house, so you know, I'm excited to hear what Caran has to share with us today, so yay, welcome.
Well, thank you for the very nice introduction. And just right, so I do work at Metro. Metro's our regional government, and I have a booth that I take to public events. So it was the garden show that time, but sometimes it's other living green venues or health fairs and all that. And we talk about what we can do differently as consumers or as the person in charge of a home to make some safe choices and make it a little nicer for that. So let's see, as everybody comes in, I think we're all able to help yourself to the booklets on the table. So yeah, we'll work on these as we go, but let me jump right in and run down some things. So are all cleaning products equal? That's kind of be the challenge. And as Erica kind of mentioned, that she says that she doesn't clean, sometimes that's the easiest way to avoid some of these toxic products is you just kind of start limiting how much cleaning. You don't need to be fanatic and clean every 15 minutes would be one example of that. So, okay, so and Metro, as I said, is our regional government. Part of my connection to it as well is, so I jump around and grab different things. Metro's also in charge of throwing away your hazardous waste. So if you had cans of paint in your garage, that's something that's Metro, that you don't put in your curbside trash can, and instead you need to bring it to a special hazardous location with Metro. And so that's how I got my beginning at Metro, and that's also why we'd like to reduce how much extra product there is around, and at the consumer level we'll talk about just what's in a home. We won't go into cars and furniture and the bigger stuff that will make changes to. Well, the whole issue began, as I was mentioning to someone, that after World War II there's just so many more chemicals on the market, or being manufactured on the market, all the products that are there, and basically what happened was EPA pretty much grandfathered everything in. If the studies hadn't been done, there's very few studies ever put out by the companies. It turns out in America it's kind of like that they're safe until proven guilty, and in Europe, their European Union is doing it the opposite, is they have to prove them safe before they're on the market. So that's where the change is coming, that things are going to be better. But anyway, the other thing to point out is, like, well, maybe when we talk about the chemicals, they might be aware that they might cause a rash or a lung irritation or your eye, you know, bad for your eyes to breathe it kind of thing. But nobody has really studied the long-term effects, whether it's having toxicological effect, whether your brain development, your kidneys, your whole, what's happening through your body, or development on children. And the young bodies are different. So I already mentioned that European Union is a whole lot better than in America, and that's why I like sometimes buying European products. Well, the cosmetics are a real good way to go on that. And so that's really the paradigm is shifting for better. Even just little laws, like California is really starting to pass things, and if we get our BPA or plastics laws changed in Oregon and all that, we'll be one step closer at least on a few things. Yeah, so I wanted to mostly focus on kind of the little ones that you're buying. Possibly you're buying cleaning products, you know, the regular trip to the grocery store, and those are the ones that we can have most control over in your own home. So does anyone taken the time to really read a bottle, read that fine print, I've went ahead and put several Mr. Yuck stickers all over this because this is real, this might be the really yuck one, and they're on the table if you have the children at home and you need them. The word danger, it's on here, and the ingredients listed. Cleaning products is different than our food items or cosmetics, and we're used to that they'll tell you all the ingredients in it. Cleaning products only have to tell you the active ingredients, so that's maybe they're only telling you 1 or 2 of them that are in this bottle, and there are a list of 20 other ones that are in here to make the formula mix real well, but those are their secret, oftentimes a trade secret. Like Simple Green's one of the company that doesn't release its ingredients. So sometimes what we're looking for in a product is just what are the ingredients that are in there, what does that warning label tell us. Let's see, what is making it hazardous? Is it affecting our human health? Is it the damaged environment? And are the things flammable? We always knew too that the spray cans, what's in here is a flammable. In fact, thinking about spray cans, half of the ingredient that's in a spray can is the gas that's spraying out at you. So whether that's a oven cleaner or a room freshener or your hairspray, or you get the idea. There's a lot of products can maybe come in a can. The metal can means that it's a butane, propane, gases like that are in there, and those are known to be lung irritants. So instead of that, anytime that you can get a pump, the finger action pump. So this is a hairspray, and that is going to be the safer delivery method for instead of your cans. So that was kind of the flammability. We're going to stay away from flammable. But back to the 3 most dangerous that have the word danger poison on them: oven cleaners, drain cleaners, and toilet bowl cleaners. So, do you want to spray in the oven and then stick your head in it? It's not something not once you know what's in there. But let's look at one of the last pages of the book. And I wish the pages were numbered, but there's this little square chart here for us. And that's what I was going to say. Let's talk about the word danger means that it only is going to take a few drops or a teaspoon to harm an adult. And with children, they're smaller than adults, so it even takes less. So anything that has the word danger on it, that's a really small amount of that. Kids get a hold of that, or even they just breathe the air that's in a room, that can have a more impact on the children. So danger and poison, the worst. The next step down is the word warning. And warning is moderately toxic, so it's a little bit safer, but it's still 1 teaspoon, which is a very small amount of stuff. That's pretty bad. Caution is going to be a lot more common. A lot more of our products that we've got have the word caution on them. It's anywhere from, the majority of your cleaning products, so like the Fantastics and the 409, they're going to say caution. They're not just, they are water type product, but they often have up like 20 ingredients in there, and each of those could be at different strength. I'm even saying ammonia. We don't run into full strength ammonia too much, but there could be 5%, 10% ammonia in something like that. So what I challenge everybody to do is think about your own cupboard at home, whether it's the cleaning cupboard in the kitchen, wherever you keep it, and that the bathroom, the chore that you're doing, going in and cleaning your bathroom, which is the smallest room in the house, and how many products, pardon me?
It takes the longest.
It takes the longest to clean, yes. And you often are feeling like you need to pull out a lot of bottles of, doing different things. So you like a tile cleaner for scrubbing the tile, and then something for the tub, and something for the toilet, something for the mirror and the window and the this, chrome. And so there's what they've done for us these days is there's a lot of specialty cleaners out there, and you're using all of them in that small room. And the other thing I was going to say about the small room is it's unless you've got the window open, which mostly through the winter you don't really open the window for your cleaning. Yeah, and some don't have a window, and the fans don't necessarily vent out really good, but you're breathing whatever you've just been using. And a lot of people get lightheaded when they're doing their cleaning, so that was it. And instead of all those specialty products, we say, well, let's just find some all-purpose cleaners that will do that difference for you instead, and then you're only reaching for a couple things instead of the, what I just named off, maybe six different cleaners. But back to our list again here is, so I keep saying all the bad, but our good thing that we're going to be able to do differently is the bottom one that I have saying no signal word, no word of warning needed at all. And very few things that you'd find at the store would ever have that, but when you're able to mix up your own cleaners, we're going to talk about the baking soda and the vinegar, and those cleaners, since they're food products that you're starting with, you know, they are an edible product, so it's something that you can touch without your skin breaking out and whatever, getting a reaction, and it's going to be the safe one to be making into our cleaners. So here's, I kind of really did this as a visual, you know, when we're talking to parents with young children, really like, boy, let's keep those danger ones totally away from children. You know, the locked cupboard possibly isn't even good enough. It's really out of the house, and switch to using something different. And that's why we got our happy face once we're able to do that with our own cleaners. Just real quick too, you know, you're getting it through indirectly eating the product. Maybe it's on that countertop that you just wash the countertop with something, but then you make a peanut butter sandwich by laying it on the countertop, and you just transfer something in. Pets are often, this is their route of exposure because they're licking something that you just cleaned. Inhaling fumes, that's what I was saying in the bathroom. I really think about how we're breathing through fumes. Absorption through our skin. Our skin is our biggest organ of our body, so we actually sometimes, not our lungs bringing in the gases, but many gases can even go through your skin as a layer. And if there were any cuts in your skin, then that's where you're also getting direct. Well, how about taking a look? I like looking at this powdered cheese, Parmesan cheese and the cleanser, just the similarity of the packaging. And for children who can't read yet, this is where they get they get into trouble, because they had spaghetti with the. Yes, and there you go. So the juice is two liquids, and for one year they were even making cranberry scented pine sol. Does that make our cleaning a little bit more fun to have it be cranberry scented and colored and stuff? So, and these products would be in the same room, so we need to think about what children are reaching for. Okay, so I'll go back and I'll pick up a label again, and once again, I'm pretty much, I know that not all ingredients are listed in here. I mean, it's like they want to hide things from us, and not for our better benefit. Sometimes reading, you know, not safe for human contact. This one may burn eyes and skin and mucous membranes, so leave room immediately. You know, it's like. So, if mixed, yeah, you know the thing. In fact, I used to talk when I'm talking about we're going to mix up our cleaners, well, then I had to change it to start saying we're going to make our own cleaners, because when I would say mix, if I say that to, you know, I was very proud or pleased that when I said it to a group of high school students, that teenage age, I said, oh, you never mix things. You never mix, they knew not to mix chlorine, bleach, and ammonia. So they've been told, don't mix things. And so that was where they were doing that, but we will make things. Let me reach for a couple more things out of my box to kind of talk about what we might find on a label, because then the hard part is like, okay, so I am doing some shopping. How am I going to know what to choose? We're going to talk about how you can do with the vinegar, but there are still a few things that you're going to be trying to choose. And let me pull out one more. Okay. We're looking to avoid chlorine. Chlorine is true, our drinking water's purified with that, but when it's in products, it's just causing all sorts of trouble. That's what even the PVC shower curtains, the number 3 plastic is the shower curtain, and you know how bad those smell when you get it. Mm-hmm. That's number 3 plastic. Food is never packaged in number 3 plastic. So the vinyl, or the chlorine aspect of vinyl, is what makes the vinyl toxic.
You can disinfect it and wash it.
There you go. So she's using a nylon shower curtain. Correct. Mm-hmm. That I've said. Yeah, we're saying go back to a fabric curtain. The nylon is a good one. There's also actually, even in vinyl, there's a safer vinyl. It's called polyethylene vinyl acetate, and so PEVA, and it's not as smelly, and it's not. But it hasn't been around long enough for them to really decide if that was going to be the totally safer alternatives. So yes, as many times as we can avoid chlorine in cleaning products. And because the fume that you're breathing. Also, dye. I mean, why do we need to have dye in these products? Dye, kind of, there's hidden levels of trouble with each of these. But definitely the no fragrances is something. Synthetic fragrances are a whole lot different than our essential oils, the real nice oils that we've got in different things. We've got essential oils coming out of lavender. It could be a real lemon, so when you need your room to smell nice, these are the kinds of things that would work good on that. The synthetic fragrances are made out of something called phthalates. Phthalates, I'm never sure quite how to pronounce it. I see a few nodding heads who've seen that word in the news. It's PHTHALATES. It's when we talk about the plastics to avoid, we're avoiding bisphenol A, BPA, and phthalates, and they're both known to be hormone disruptors, endocrine disruptors. So as we breathe it into our bodies, it travels through our blood system and it interrupts the messaging that's going through our bodies, and that's bad for ladies. We might, it's linked to breast cancers, but to young children, their whole bodies are developing, and so without the ability to avoid this one, and they actually the trouble that they have is they often have 10 times the accumulation that adults have because their livers and kidneys haven't been able to purify or cleanse their bodies of it, so they are building up kind of more of a threshold than we are. So definitely around children, products without fragrance are a real key thing. So yeah, those were the key ones I was going to look on. And every now and then, so there's a lot of false advertising, false labeling out there as advertising too, where they want to say, oh, I'm green, everything is green about me. And that's not necessarily always the case. But Bonami, this is naturally occurring. Yeah, pretty much just a stone that's powdered and do that. And it wants to say I've got no chlorine, no perfume, and no dye. So I must have been reading that when I was writing this screen. But the other is 7th Generation. I'm real pleased with them. They have a truth in labeling campaign that they've been labeling their ingredients, and they're challenging other companies to do the same. And it's not necessarily always that they tell you, they'll sometimes just keep it as simply as I'm a plant-based something surfactant, or they'll just, but coming from a plant is a whole lot better than coming from petroleum, which is what the majority of our cleaning products anymore are coming out of petroleum, and just everything America's made out of is that, and let's save it for the cars. I mean, we've got limited amount of oil.
Isn't it a byproduct of the...
Often, that's what I think of it. Is so if soap is made out of oil and lye, and if it's a petroleum oil, I always think it could be a byproduct, the part that they're not wanting to use for the gasolines and kerosenes. And oftentimes that has unintentional contaminants still left in that oil. And so they'll make the soap out of it, and then to cover up some of that stinkiness, they'll put in a lot of that false synthetic fragrances. And the extra bubble that's often put in soap to make it bubble real good so we feel real good about it, or we think we're getting a little good cleaning action. Those type of ingredients are real hard for the environment, the streams and rivers afterwards. As after it's going down our pipe, the sewage treatment plants aren't able to remove everything, and it's in the environment. So when I think of Dawn, Joy, Palmolive, all those, that's what I'm talking, the standard brands. And instead, what we're looking for is the plant-based products. And Dr. Bronner's is one of the famous ones for doing that. A lot of people have used it, whether that's just, you're thinking that you're using it in the shower for your washing yourself, but it's also, pardon me?
Hippie soap.
Hippie soap, there we go. It was the
well, it's ironic because it's also fun reading his.
Yeah, there's lots of.
It's like I think
there's a lot of extra messaging on here.
He actually made that.
But it's definitely plant-based, and it even so the environmentally friendly brands, you can either choose unscented, or you can go with the sense that they have used essential oils for the fragrance in all of those. That last page of the book, where the same one with the chart on it, also has some list of some of the some brands that we'd recommend, which would be the 7th Generation, BioClean, they're a Northwest company. Another good one is Ecover. Planet, I was real pleased with Planet. In fact, Planet is the only one that's biodegradable, or that is certified to be biodegradable, and I think they said that within 1 week, it loses the majority of its fizz bubble. So actually it's a real nice one to use for your dishes because you're doing your part protecting the environment, but it's not one that I can give you as we're going to mix up a spray bottle of something to take home, because in the spray bottle it starts losing its fizz. So it is really biodegradable, and that was a nice thing to know on that. But yeah, a lot of times the people talk about biodegradable, and that's kind of a misnomer, and the greenwash that we hear about, because a lot of things do break down, but sometimes they'll break down into something possibly even more dangerous than the first step. And that would be an example of that is DDT breaks down into DDE, which sticks around and it's harmful for a long time too. So yeah, accumulation of all sorts of things is, yeah. But here I just put up our body. I just kind of wanted to say, this is how we're getting exposed. Our bodies are very complex. We're maybe not going to understand it. I mean, even if you understand one level, we're not knowing the time frame. Like I said, children are different than senior citizens, all that. So instead, let's move on and talk about these green cleaners. I've given you the horror story to begin with, and now we're going to make some positive changes and all that. So the reason we're using green cleaners is you can save some money. Definitely, you know, buying vinegar in bulk at the store is cheap, and that's the motivation for a lot of people. But it is all about, you know, the level of protection and protecting your family. And let's see, so that's what I want to come to next. So on the children, I've kind of alluded to the fact that children's bodies are different than ours. They're not be able to function quite as well yet with the kidneys yet. They're also their behavior, their things that they're doing, because they're always putting things in their mouth and testing out the world that way. So any limited amount is definitely contact into them. They're also, when I think about in a home, they're down low. I'm going to bend over for a minute and pretend I'm a short person. I'm breathing the air and the dirt that's down lower into the room. So this is where, like, even you and I are very similar. We spend a lot of time, and we're looking at Erica because she said she's a gardener. Well, I know she's a gardener, and so am I. And I'm not afraid of garden dirt. I mean, I've always got dirt. And that's not when we're talking about in a home, what you need to clean out is the good old dirt is not really what's the problem. The air inside a home is more polluted than the outdoor air, and you thought your home is your safe place where you were going to avoid the problems with the world. But so inside a home, the dust in your home might be other things, and I'll name off some scary ones. You got some Scotchgard on your carpet and your curtains and your sofa, and Scotchgard is very similar to Teflon. And it won't just stay in the fabric. It's going to break out and be a little dust that's almost invisible or whatever, but it's the dust in a house, and it'll settle to the floor. Other things are all of our new computers and TVs and our electronics. They've all protected with a fire retardant, and that's sometimes I'm hearing a lot of issues that they think that is the next big kind of a body poison that's affecting us is air quality issues from breathing the fire retardants. And there is a few other too, you know, like formaldehydes and all that inside your home too. So
Gases from building.
off gases, correct. Those kind of gases and stuff. So if you imagine that maybe if that air quality it settles and clings to some dirt particles that are on the floor, so that's why vacuuming with the HEPA vacuum cleaners or something would be important to do. But yeah, I came to that because I was saying the children are down there on the floor playing. And what I knew from reading one of my other things is maybe you're not using pesticides at home, in the garden, the outdoor weed killers and those kind of products. But if anyone in the neighborhood is, they can travel through the air. And once inside your home, they like to cling to, kind of a magnetically cling to things made out of foam. And a lot of times that's a foam carpet pad, or maybe a teddy bear or a cushion that's on the floor as well.
Plastic things like anything, even your coffee maker.
Or giving off gassing in a way?
Well, not
odor.
only that, but all those things cling to that.
Oh, sure. A little dust up. Yes, you see that in the dust.
Film, you'll find it on everything.
Okay. New car smell. Everybody likes the thrill of a new car. Boy, but does that stink? And that is all that plastic kind of coming around. And if you see that greasy film, well, that's what I thought of when you're saying the film is that inside of a car, because it's not the only thing that should be happening was your own breath onto the window, but that wouldn't leave a film like it does. So, yeah, crazy on that, but you're right. We want to protect our earth, the place we love, and this is both in the manufacturing of the products as they're coming to you. You know, they get made, they get put in a bottle and a package and driven to your store, and you go to the store and you buy them, and so all that, consumption area part of it is we talk about sustainability issues. Those are some of them, but it's also downstream. So they call that upstream, but there's also downstream. You use it, it affects you, and then it's into the plumbing of your house, down the sewer, and after the sewer into a river. And those things aren't always the nicest things for aquatic environment. At least what was the difference? Aquatic, without as much, I think it was something about the gills, breathing through a gill instead of through lungs, they don't have as much protection from the environment. So anything living in a stream is worse. Keep it simple and safe. I like pulling up these kids having a happy time helping at home, because Well, the simple would be not this. This is like, okay, even though this is a row of nice stuff at a nice store, what I kind of wanted it to signify in our brains is we go shopping, there's just so much overwhelming choices that we have to make, and the quantity is out there. So what we really got to be doing all the time is thinking about what we have at home, taking an inventory of what you've got, get rid of some nasty ones. And when you are out shopping, we're to make the safe choices. If you can read some labels, remember a few things when you're out there looking for that. But now let's talk about how, this is the green cleaners. The rest, and with the booklet, you've got recipes in there, but I'm going to tell you what each of our active ingredients are going to be able to do for us. Starting with the number one, our hero of the day would be vinegar. We're talking about using white vinegar. If you don't like the scent of white vinegar, you can use the apple cider vinegar instead. It might leave a brown spot on your countertop if it was used that way, but most people haven't found that. But the white one's going to be your cheapest. Is basic. I wouldn't use, if we carry on to this healthy audience here, we know that this one is possibly not what you would use for your food item, because it's a really manufactured, once again, probably out of petroleum, instead of apple cider. And also the fact that it's in a plastic container. Your acid foods should not ever be stored in plastic. They should be stored in glass. So when you can buy your brands that are cider vinegar for my salad, I'm buying them in glass. But back to what this can do for cleaning. It's going to be great at dissolving soap scum. So that's a lot of your bathroom chores, the soap scum on there. And it's also the mineral deposits that happen around. If we had hard water, which most of Oregon doesn't have too much trouble with hard water, but you know how sometimes you've seen the knobs in the bathroom or the shower head, they're getting kind of crusty with some minerals. Go ahead and take those, unscrew your shower, I was thinking to unscrew your shower nozzle, and you can put it in a bucket of vinegar, leave it overnight, and that'll dissolve away some of the mineral deposits on it. And you could do the same thing with the knobs. Is you just take a towel and have it saturated in vinegar and lay it on that for a while. Yeah, so question up here.
If food items should be in glass, then how do they get away with putting drinks and juices in plastic bottles?
Yeah, so I kind of went to another topic. She asked if a food is supposed to be in glass, well, how do they get away with so much of this out there? Well, I really think, as a health standpoint, choosing organic food, choosing the proper container for it. I've seen it mentioned that, like I said, the acid foods, so that would be your orange juices, your which is kind of acid, right? Lemon juices are acid, pineapple juice. Pineapple juice was one of the ones that often was in the metal can. I don't know. It's kind of, yeah. And the other thing about plastic, remember, plastic is a petroleum oil. It's an oil product. So if your food is made out of oil, the oil from the container moves to the oil in the food and vice versa. So the oily foods I think of are your peanut butters. Let's see, there's a few other ones on your list, but that would be another one where they talk to about if you can buy organic peanut butter in a glass container. That's a kind of a step ahead of for the health aspect of it.
People are always saying the oils in plastic are inert, though.
Yes, I've heard that, and then I've not trusted. And of course, the worst time is the cooking in a plastic, because then maybe they are less inert and they're bouncing around and jumping into your food.
Yeah, they'd have to be changing their
A form of that, yeah.
constituency or whatever.
Sure, in the microwave and the mystery of all that. A couple more, comments?
They may be inert when you're not in contact with other oils.
Or just inert in air, but not inert with,
Right.
in sense of,
When you put another oil in, they're going to start
okay,
reacting.
that sounds good to me too. So, I gave you food for thought. I gave you nightmares, didn't I? Yeah. As if there haven't been enough already. Yes. You had your hand up with another, did you? Okay. And
I was just wondering if, because you can, more and more you do not see, I do not see glass containers in grocery stores.
No.
So I see a lot of plastic, but like for juices, you can get them in the cardboard.
Mm-hmm. The aseptic milk, the milk.
Not the plastic, not like milk, but juice comes in the little
Kid lunch.
Long life. You know what I mean?
Tetra Pak. Tetra Pak's a
The
word.
paper, the
Yeah.
wax-coated paper.
Sure. Yeah, we agree. The Tetra Pak, or I was thinking of aseptic. I've seen that word used on it.
Okay. And that would be safer, not as safe as glass, but safer
I think
than
so, on the level.
Okay.
And possibly what the manufacturers have done too is glass is heavy for them to transport, so it's better, it's cheaper for them to fill a truck full of product that's in plastic. So it's kind of a moneymaker on their end. But they've got families and children, and they're living in this world, and they're going to get sick the same as we. Our chances of us developing cancer from exposure, you know, and nothing can be proven, and I'm not going to go and say what illnesses, and hopefully if we are ill, we're going to be able to come to a location like this where we can learn how to treat without them. You know, I don't think Western medicine's got all the things figured out. So, but I meet more and more people that have either fragrance sensitivities or now, you know, and does that turn into a multiple chemical sensitivity later on? As you mentioned, you can't stand the fragrance of something. I mean, literally. And in fact, one of the ladies I met, she said her husband has to go into a restaurant, a building, you know, before she does. He'll go in. He says, "Oh, it seems like there's no, you know, it seems like it's okay. Now maybe you can come in with him." So you really have to limit. We talked to earlier is about the soap aisle in the grocery store, from all the fragrances that are there. It's crazy how we have to monitor it ourselves because nobody else is there for us. And right. I almost think that the third world countries are better off than we are because they're not buying into all this. Yeah, so it's sometimes the choice is as simple as what is the surface that they're using. I'm thinking hospital operating tables, if they were made out of copper instead of stainless steel, I think they knew that was
Or silver?
considerably better. In fact, a lot of times we'll just say that simply the soap and water and hand washing, singing us, you know, giving us a little bit of time, the friction, the soap, regular soap is going to be all you need to kill your germs instead of hand sanitizers. But the alcohol ones are going to be safer than, once again, one with chlorine in it is triclosan is an active ingredient in many of our dish soap back. Did that have an antibacterial in it?
No, and that contributes to, you know,
Super bugs.
Super bugs,
Yeah.
Resistance,
So
yeah.
we need the bugs to build up our own resistance.
Right. So many dish soaps had antibacterial in them as one of the things that's not, if your eco-friendly brands didn't have that in it either. Yes, the other good thing that vinegar does is it absorbs odors, so improves your air quality, like cigarette smoke or something would be in the air that you're trying to, instead of covering up the smell, it's going to work on eliminating the odor. Now the baking soda as a, yeah, well, no, in a half hour it's gone.
Away, yeah.
It's really gone. So time is on your side with all these. The baking soda, so we've got as a dry, it's your scrubbing powder, so you can actually literally take it right out of your kitchen cupboard and sprinkle it on your stove and clean your stove. So it is working on very greasy things. And it will absorb odors, as we know, because I box in the refrigerator. So if you had a smoky room that you're trying to air out or something, you could put bowls of baking soda throughout a home and absorb odors in a home that way. So I don't know, you know, pet room maybe then. You know, well, I don't have a cat, but we know that litter boxes often have some sort of baking soda into them. So that's as a dry powder, but it's also, you know, you can dissolve it in water and it will continue to do some good cleaning with that. We've already talked about the soaps and the difference between Castile soaps, the plant-based soaps, and the petroleum soaps. The next one to pull out is the bottle of hydrogen peroxide. So this is in the brown container where you're buying it from the drugstore, the 3% strength, that's the standard strength, that's all we're talking about, all you need to have. And the reason it's in brown is as soon as it's exposed to sunlight, this turns into an oxygen. So I mean, it really breaks down into just water and releases the oxygen out of it. And so it's a disinfectant, and it's also so you know, disinfecting, you know, is cleaning your wounds. So it's also going to clean your countertops. And then since it's the bleach alternative. So hydrogen peroxide on stains, like if you're removing blood out of your clothing, it's wonderful at that. You could go ahead and spot treat your clothing. I would check, you know, if you're worried about the dye on your different clothes might not withstand the power of the. Anyway, yes, always check your stains before you do.
I use it.
As a stain remover on your clothing. with good heads. Do you do individual clothing items, or have you poured a half cup in the load laundry and done everything? Both. Yeah. Yeah.
And is bleach bad?
Chlorine bleach is, but instead your hydrogen peroxide, which OxyClean, OxoClean, any of those words, they're a product similar to this. I think there were actually carbonate and hyperborate, or there were several different mixings of this that are fine.
Generation makes a laundry that's hydrogen peroxide. That's great. It's a bleach. No, it's not.
Well, so you don't need the word bleach. It's bleach alternative.
Oh,
Yes.
but it's
It's a little white.
Whiteners, yes.
Yeah, got it.
Yeah. So we kind of, it's like Kleenex is Kleenex, but there's other fabric tissues instead. So we'll call it, yeah, we want to avoid the chlorine. Other strong things you can get, washing soda is very similar to baking soda. There's and then the page tells you it's fancy title, sodium bicarbonate and sodium whatever. So
Difference between that and borax.
very similar to borax. Borax is a mineral as well. Borax is very slightly toxic. It could be an ant bait, could be made out of borax.
Borax is great.
Yeah. So borax is slightly poisonous. So maybe in a house where you got children, you wouldn't want borax. But otherwise, they're kind of very similar. They're both used as a laundry booster to increase the cleaning power of your laundry. And they're both used as a whitener. This one is more of a grease dissolver than borax is. So there's a few things that are a little bit different. But yes, so in the laundry section, you can find the big box like this. Only $3 a box, so it is pretty much a bargain for that. pH of baking soda, you remember your pH scale is 7's in the middle. It goes to 0 to 14. So baking soda is very, very gentle. It's at about an 8. The borax and the hydrogen peroxide are both around 11. So when you're using that, you'd want to put some gloves on because your skin's going to dry out. That's one of the other things. So you remember how slippery your skin gets when you're using chlorine bleach? That slipperiness is it eroding away the fatty tissue of your skin, and slipperiness there. So yeah, it's going through you. So washing soda, and washing soda would be great when you're got a very greasy stove, something like that. Maybe washing the walls before you're painting, make sure it's all clean and good. Lemon juice also has not only smelling nice and making the nice, you can put a couple drops of this in any time that you're making a vinegar. I want to say if you're mixing up a window cleaner, there we go, there's an empty bottle. So, just go to the dollar store, buy your empty bottle, start being able to mix up your own cleaners from now on. But if they're not fragranted and you want a scent to them, the lemon juice is a nice scent. The essential oils, once again, around here in the building, they're very nice too. But the other thing, lemon juice will actually have some good cleaning properties too. It's going to be another bleach alternative. So we got sunlight, you've got lemon, we got the oxy cleaners. So there's quite a few things that'll work instead of chlorine. And I have an off-white countertop. I get a lot of fruit stains on my countertop, so I'll clean it first with my baking soda, and then to get the stains out, I'll I consider these fake lemons because I wouldn't want to really be consuming any of these. Anyway, but the lemon juice on it, walk away for 10 minutes. When I come back, I wash it clean, and the stain is gone. So whether it's on your clothing or countertops, or sometimes even tiles and grouts and things. Yeah, the hydrogen peroxide was good on your shower when you got some grout and caulk that's kind of getting a little gray from that. It'll kill the mold on the. It won't kill. Yeah, the vinegar kills your mold on your shower, and the hydrogen peroxide will take the stain, the black mold color out of that for your shower.
Would you mix those two together?
No, I would do it twice. Yeah. In fact, so the last one up here is glycerin, and glycerin, if you ever made homemade cosmetics, it's in the drug food section of the grocery store. It's usually in a small brown bottle, and what it's great at is it's a very good solvent, so it will dissolve all sorts of things like your lipsticks and it dissolves both in oil and greases and water. So there's a recipe in the booklet for making your own fabric stain remover, which uses you add this to some laundry soap that you have, and then that will be your stain remover that works real good because the magic qualities of being glycerin. So if we had children, they can now help you with everything that you're cleaning at home if you're using these recipes. Kind of give you a heads up to where these are in the book. On the kitchen page, there's a drain cleaner recipe, and it literally is a whole lot of fun for kids. So whether it's your own kids or some grandkids visiting, that kind of thing. In fact, we just changed our clocks, and a couple things you need to remember to do a couple times a year is make, this really won't work on a plugged up drain that's already gotten, solid and plugged. But instead, if you work as a preventative on taking care of it several times a year before, one is you just start noticing that your drain's slow. So it's preventative maintenance. And the other thing, so as I mentioned, is like one of your clocks, change your clock, so that gives you the spring and fall that you then check your drains. And you also, to be safe in your home, you then go through your house and check that you got your smoke alarm batteries are still good too. So that was it. But basically what you then do is you can take that old box of baking soda out of the refrigerator, because it's already absorbed all the odors and needs to put a new fresh one in there. You then push some of it down in the pipe in the drain, pour the vinegar on top, and you're going to hear it bubbling right away. That's going to loosen things up. Follow it with a pot of boiling water, and that's all you need to do for that. So do it right before you leave on vacation, or good things. It's very similar to what you could do in a garbage disposal. The other trick is not in the book, but a lot of people have told me they like adding a spoon of salt. As coarse salt's going to be heavy and scratch and scour as it's doing all that bubbling, so it's going to stay there and scratch it clean. And as I kind of mentioned, like we think about prevention, so you wouldn't pour grease down your drain because you don't want to plug up. You try to have a lint screen, or to catch your hair in the shower, so you don't have as much hair going down the drain. So some of those prevention things, the more you can do of that, the easier the green cleaners are going to help work for you. Because if I switch to talking about cleaning your oven, if you're baking a pie and you know it's going to spill over, you're going to want to put a cookie sheet or some foil down under it because you don't want to clean the oven. So the same thing, if you can anticipate what your challenges are and prevent them. So that's how with the drain cleaner. Yeah, it's not going to blast out. No, it's just a very similar like we're talking about the white foaming. No. A little of it bubbles. If it bubbles out, it's only bubbling out a ½ inch or something. Because the majority of, in fact, I would say you can either put all the vinegar in at once, or I tend to pour the vinegar in slowly, so that, because as you add the water in, have you ever seen like the inside pipes of a sink? So when you're adding vinegar, you're also losing vinegar. So to keep what you're really wanting to clean is that first loop of the pipe, it'll only hold a little bit of water or fluid at a time. And by keeping the vinegar in that section, that's where the bubbling, all the plug is usually in that section, and just a little bit of vinegar and a little bit of vinegar at a time until you're ready to purge it all out. Vinegar on that. Yeah, so we've always heard that the window cleaner is, that vinegar is just excellent for being a window cleaner, and sure enough it is, except the only trick to that is that Windex and many of the standard window cleaners that we've just that you've probably recently been using, they've had a whole bunch of, well, for one, let me tell you what they've had in them. They've had ammonia, and I love reading out of this book a little bit. It says, ammonia is toxic. It's a severely corrosive alkaline that's extremely dangerous to the eyes. It may cause permanent damage and can burn the skin, and is very harmful to inhale. So thank goodness we're not using full-strength ammonia. They're also talking about that chlorine is toxic and severe irritant, and so all that. But there's many additive ingredients, including possibly naphthas, mothball. I also wanted to tell you about them is we hear the word VOCs when we're talking about paints, volatile organic compounds. And we know in paints we don't want a whole lot of off-gassing off the paint into our room when we're, got our family and children around. But volatile organic compounds, the word organic is not the same organic like we want our food to be organic and we want the good things out of it. It simply means that there's a carbon molecule in that chemical. And volatile means it starts out as a liquid and it very quickly evaporates, and so it's something that's in the air. And yes, VOCs are not what you want in paint, but they don't rate how many of these cleaning products have a VOC issue to them, and I really think they have a very high issue on that. So yes, your window cleaner would have some VOCs in it from many of those things, but the other is that they have also got some sort of wax to them. And the wax is kind of keeping some dust from collecting on your window again. It makes it slippery so it doesn't get dusty. But that wax then, if you're just washing with just a vinegar and water, I mean, everybody says, hey, this is a natural green cleaner. You want to be a hippie today. You want to start going back and cleaning with that. That's not going to cut that wax. What you also need to do is put a spoon or half a spoon of soap in with your window cleaner, and that'll cut that wax off, and then you won't have any streakiness, and you'll have a good window cleaner. And that's actually the only difference between an all-purpose cleaner and a window cleaner, is that it's got a little bit of soap in it. So instead of, I mean, I love saying, well, let's clean our windows with vinegar, but let's mix it up as an all-purpose cleaner recipe and use that instead. Anyway, my hint I was going to tell you guys for washing windows when it's spring cleaning and we're doing both the insides and the outside. Have you ever heard that on one side you can wash to the left and to the right, and on the other side you can wash up and down, and that way if you got a streak that's left over, you could at least figure out which side of the window it's on. So I try to give you a few hints to make this easier the next time around. Yeah. Cleaning your toilet. Now that's the nasty chore nobody likes to do, but one thing to do to make your cleaning product more concentrated is, have you ever removed the water out of the toilet bowl? And there's two ways to do that. You could either turn it off, turn the knob off at the wall, and you'd flush it twice. Well, the second time more water has gone in, so as it flushes, it just flushes away the old, and you're left with a very shallow level of water in there. But the other way is when you have a bucket of water and you just dump it into the toilet, it senses that it's full and it goes ahead and purges, and it's left with a very empty bowl. When it's empty like that, then whether you're scrubbing with, what I like to suggest to people is, if you had been cleaning with Comet, as a, loving the powder action for scrubbing a toilet clean, whatever tools you're using, but if it's the powder, then switch to baking soda, because that's your powder. If you liked cleaning with the liquid type products and you wanted to squirt something on a rim, around a rim, go ahead and use a vinegar as a full strength vinegar, or mix it up of 50-50, or even just the anyway, so putting that in, sometimes what you want to do is put your baking soda in there and let it soak for half an hour, and then come back and scrub it back off. Especially if you've got I guess what I'm trying to think is, if you've got a discoloration, you've already got all that kind of the nasty. The other thing we talked about too is using a pumice stone, which sounds awful. The same pumice stone you'd use on your heels. We'll grab a different one. But when a wet pumice stone will not leave marks on the ceramic of it's not ceramic, what's porcelain of the toilet. So that would be, but you won't need, after you get that ring off, you won't be doing that every time, but that would be how you could very satisfactorily get that off on the first time. So time on your side, using a little bit of waiting for that. Any questions as we're going? You want to just go home and try that? Okay, so we talked a little bit about on our laundry that the sooner you get to your pre-soaking of your stains, the better. And our washing machines has both a wash cycle and a rinse cycle. You can add baking soda to the wash cycle, but the other ones too, that would be the washing soda or the borax to the wash cycle. And what they're doing is, in fact, there's kind of a trick on this too. Our laundry detergents, the same box is made for everybody in the United States, right? We're all in the same country, so they sell it too. Okay, there's hard water, most in the United States, and we've got the soft water. So we don't have that calcium and other minerals and whatever. So when they tell us to use one scoop, let's just say it's 1 cup a product that you're supposed to use, that's for all those folks with hard water. For us, we can try a half scoop and see if your laundry is clean enough, and then that's all you need to use. So that's kind of the marketing thing they did. But the other thing is, so use half scoop of soap and try a half scoop of baking soda. And that's because baking soda is cheaper than laundry soap. And then it's gonna, what you're doing is getting the chemistry of baking soda work. The other trick was, I wear a lot of cotton clothes, so I usually don't really have trouble with thinking I need fabric softeners. But one of the issues on fabric softeners is what you're wanting to do is make sure all the detergent residue is rinsed out of your clothing so that your clothes are softer. And the way to get that out is by putting some vinegar in the rinse cycle. And then you can skip those synthetic fabric softeners, the fragrant ones that I was not wanting to have. and you're also maybe not needing the dryer sheet. Or there, I've seen some, there's some good brands, as we said, like what I'm just moving away from is the standard brand and saying choose an environmentally friendly brands. But possibly you can even make a homemade, it's not in the book, but I've seen some homemade recipes for a dryer sheet. And if you just wanted your clothes to smell nice, then you just put a drop of essential oils on a washcloth and drop that in the laundry as well, I mean in the dryer, and let them spin around for that. We're almost to the end. Have we talked enough about room fresheners? I said no, you don't want the aerosol spray can because that's polluting our lungs. And instead we're gonna think, well, and the other thing I'll talk about too, what should your clean house smell like? And should it smell like Pine Sol, Lysol, ammonia? We're obviously not. I mean, we kind of talked enough of that. And if you think that you need a scent to cover up a smell, well, we say no, go in and find where it's moldy. Find those dirty shoes. Get rid of that pet, clean the pet tray. So you're going to clean up your things, and then you won't have to feel like you have to cover it up with a smell. And the smell could be the pleasant scent of your choice. Okay, here was the one where we were talking about, okay, so what the germs, what do you need chlorine for? A lot of people disinfect their cutting board with chlorine bleach. Vinegar kills about 80% of the germs. Hydrogen peroxide also kills a real high quantity, 80-90% of the germs. I mean, it depends what germs we're talking about, of course. But the thing is together, I mean, and you don't make a solution in a bottle of these two products, but you wash twice, and the order won't matter. You can do vinegar first, wait a minute, rinse it off. All the things that we should, if you're food cutting boards or that. But for myself, my toilet didn't need to, it's something I'm going to lick my toilet, so I'm content with just washing my toilet with vinegar. And as I said, vinegar is killing 80% of the germs that are there that aren't, so they're not spreading that way. And mention, hand wash is what our goal for doing as many times as you're at a place that gives you a sink. That's the ultimate choice. I mean, I've seen and there's the fact that we get the hand sanitizers in a towel form, and it's kind of like diaper wipes, and you just get it's a disposable thing that you're buying again and again and doing. But I know I had seen one, my husband had bought a pack for, he was going out fishing and he thought he needed something, and I'm reading on it, the fine, so I nag him about what he bought and stuff. The fine print of it says, now wash your hands before touch, wash after using this product. And I'm like, wasn't that the whole point, was that you bought some of those things to replace the hand washing, but they're leaving, they're made out of things that are making superbugs and whatnot, or they're making it harder for doing. And that really pretty much is the end of what I wanted to talk about. I've got some things for us to mix up, and I think we could break apart and do that. My favorite one is this homemade soft scrub. It's on the bathroom page of the book. So that means it's meant as the bathtub and shower cleaner, but I'm using it throughout my house. I'm cleaning my stove, my countertops, the toaster. So now I'm washing it's wonderful on stainless steel pots and pans. So that's my go-to for all of it. And it's really such a simple recipe. It's the baking soda mixed up with my dish soap. So you got it in the book. And it's very similar, like a frosting or like a mashed potato. So that's cool on that. And then the other one I wanted to mix up was an all-purpose cleaner. I said our window cleaner is a window cleaner with some soap into it, and then it's an all-purpose cleaner. So just the two ingredients in there, vinegar and soap in a spray bottle, and we can take that home. These are a plant-based soap. There's something I've heard too about soaps, I don't know or about fragrances. Sometimes you'll run across something that says, I am unscented. That word is kind of one of those, once again, as I said, greenwash, it's not true. Unscented can mean it's got a sense blocking the chemical scent that you're getting, and so it's what you're really looking for is fragrance-free or no fragrance added.
Wow.
Yeah.
See, I did not know a lot of this stuff. This is great. I think you're well informed.
There's two ways that the fragrance can work. It's a fragrance, but there's also nasal blockers that block the scent that so you would be numb. Yeah, you'd be numb to different things. And I don't like the thought of being tampered with either. So yeah. This is great. Okay, so I got that. So here's the towel for if we get sticky on our fingers. Right, so that took care of that. Is everybody getting a chance to move your way through? I'll move out of the way too, and we'll start our second section. This
Sort of a surface.
You know, I don't have a special surface. I don't have any granite countertops. I mean, I know on those you maybe don't want to use the vinegar and the acids on the granites. But I have not, okay, so plastic, one time I had a tray that I was going to use as a demo. We were going to scribble on it with crayon, and then we were going to clean it with this. Well, the plastic itself scratched. But on this kind of countertop, I mean, no, tubs, countertops, you're durable. And even like a shoe scuff mark on a vinyl floor. I wouldn't scratch really, because vinyl's going to be soft too.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't necessarily scrub hard on it, but by leveling how much you're scrubbing that you're doing, then that would be the difference. Oh, I know, ladies, something else to ask you about. So sponges, are people using sponges, or I use a lot of washcloths, but do you use a few people using sponge?
Yeah.
Yeah. So think of your sponge like how often are you washing your sponge? Or do you ever think about disinfecting a sponge?
Yes.
Okay.
I do it in the washing
Water once a week.
Okay, and boiling water. See, I've heard that too. The boiling water, really get it boiling for 2 or 3 minutes. So a wet sponge in a microwave for 2 or 3 minutes. I don't think a dishwasher is hot enough or good enough for doing that. And yeah, I mean, sometimes they were saying for the dishwasher.